Limited and cramped or wide and spacious? Subpar or superb cooling capabilities? The Deep Cool CK560 promises the latter of both, like a house, but this is a PC case. It's Deep Cool, and they're back with their CK560, a mid-tower case that is boasting improved and a streamlined build experience along with ample cooling. So let's see if it sticks out, shall we? The CK560 is made from typical ABS plastic steel and tempered glass, and it retails at $109.99. And it comes in your everyday black and white color choice. So it's similar in size and shape as the Corsair 4000D, but it's kicking it off at $10 more. Is it worth it? Coming in at 18 inches in length, 9 inches wide, and 18.5 inches tall, and weighing just under 18 pounds, it sits a smidgen larger than the 4000D for comparison. $10 larger? Well, that remains to be seen. See, looking at the CK560, we see similar design in the front panel like the CG540 from Deep Cool with the plus pattern design here. And it's plus design, it's not fatter. Anyway, it's an aluminum front panel with a magnetic release this time around and a magnetic dust filter underneath. In fact, the CK560 has 3 dust filters in it. On the front, like we just mentioned, one on the top, one on the bottom, and all of them are very easily removable. The front panel can double as one of those like southern musical instruments. It's very flexible. Now the front I/O on the CK560 is actually a step up over the CG540. In this case, you get 2 USB 3.0 Type A ports, 1 HD mic/audio jack, a power button and an LED button, and a now added USB Type C port. The case comes with 3 pre-installed ARGB fans in the front set to intake that can be controlled through the preset lighting LED button. Or you can use any 5-volt header on the motherboard, as this is completely compatible with all your favorite motherboard lighting programs like MSI Center or Gigabyte Fusion. You also get one non-RGB 140mm fan in the rear for exhaust. You know what, I just feel like case manufacturers aren't fans of RGB in the rear, as it seems as this is happening a lot with all the cases that they don't put any lights in the back, you know what I'm saying? Now 4 fans in total is nice, and it's an addition here as the Corsair 4000D only comes with 2 pre-installed fans that actually aren't even RGB. So I'd say in this case at least I can see the $10 difference and why this case might be slightly more expensive, because that's not the only bonus. You also get a GPU sag bracket that's adjustable in 2 different locations for different size GPUs. We got a nice little touch of rubber grommets for the cable management going into the case. We're starting to see a lot more cases include these as standard parts, and we are all for it. You absolutely should cover those wire holes. What can I actually put in it, Robey? Well, starting with the motherboards, any board up to an EATX will fit in here, so that Asus ROG Maximus Z690 Extreme Glacial you paid $2,000 for will fit inside here. Now for your fans and radiators, you have a few different configs that you can do. Let's start with fans. For 120mm fans, you can put 1 at the rear of the case, 2 of them up at the top, and 3 of them in the front. For 140mm fans, it's pretty similar. You can do 1 in the rear and 2 at the top, and you can also do 2 in the front. Okay, so now it's on to the AIO. For 360mm AIOs, you can fit 1 of them in the front. For 280mm AIOs, you can fit 1 of them in the top or 1 of them in the front. And for 240mm AIOs, it's the same as 280. You can do 1 at the top or 1 in the front. Now, if you want to worry about 140 or 120, you should be able to do the math, but they basically fit in all the same places as 240s and 280s. So let's talk about storage. You have the option of putting 2 2.5-inch SSDs on the back of the motherboard tray, pretty standard placement. Now you also get that drive tray underneath the PSU shroud that holds 2 3.5-inch HDDs should you have those. Now speaking of PSUs, let's just get right into that. Any PSU up to 160mm in length will fit inside the CK560. Pretty normal size here, so PSUs like your EVGA G6 series or your Corsair RMX series will fit in this with no issue. Now if you do take the hard drive tray out, you can do a longer PSU, that makes sense, but just be aware that the mesh design at the bottom of the case for the PSU fan is only made for 160mm PSUs, so if you do something that's a little bit longer, the fan could potentially be choked off, so it's just something to be aware of. No, I didn't forget the air coolers, the tower of powers, the coolest of air. In fact, we used an air cooler in this build. So any air cooler up to 175mm will fit inside of the CK560. So like your VTrue V5 that we've used, or your ID Cooling SC22 4XT, which is a terrible name, will look great inside of the CK560. Or even the one that we used in this build, the Thermalright FC140 White, which We will also be spoiling and letting you know that it does a bang-up job of cooling, as well as looking beautiful in this white case. And finally, for GPU. Any GPU up to 380 millimeters in length will fit inside of the CK560. Word to the wise, if you're going to be front mounting an AIO, then your GPU length is going to be cut down. The 380 millimeter in length that we were just talking about is only if you're front mounting fans. Now, we're not going to recommend that you should be front mounting a 360 millimeter AIO, as you're actually basically choking air off of your GPU anyway. And if you want more details on that, we have a whole guide to AIO cooling right here. Now, unfortunately, Deep Cool doesn't specify what size GPU will fit with a front-mounted AIO anywhere on the site. So it's best for you to measure what you plan to put in your build. And yes, you're gonna have to do some math. Yes, I know, don't panic. It's only simple subtraction. So if your radiator and your fans are this thick, just subtract that from the 380 millimeters. All right, there you go. Full overview of the Deep Cool CK560. Now, before we get into the build, is there something you liked about the case overview? Do you like the way we do these? Let us know all of that stuff down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe. We would love to have you be part of our awesome Robeytech family. Okay, let's go to the build. Everybody say experiment, because that's what we're doing today. We're gonna do a little experiment. We're gonna take this Ryzen 9 5950X. We're gonna try and cool it with this Frost Commander 140 white. For the motherboard, we're gonna be using the ROG Strix B550-F. Then we're gonna use the 3600 megahertz Vengeance Pro RGB SL. This is the VP4300. This is a PCIe Gen 4, just a 1 terabyte drive, more than enough space. The like unicorn of GPUs, and that is the Strix 3080, white Strix 3080 Ti. We're gonna be powering this whole thing with the white ROG Strix 850 watt. And then lastly, we've got our white Asia Horse cable extensions that we're gonna be putting inside of this too. So yeah, that is our build. Thoughts? Yeah! This is the Deep Cool CK560, new case from them. It's an airflow case. Take this off, and there you go. We've got a dust filter at the top as well. 2 thumb screws, pretty easy to get across, and then the glass just pops right off. So you've got an RGB controller here that if you want to use, so all the fans are connected to that. You could even daisy chain another one. You do actually have a separate power connector, SATA power, for your RGB. These are airflow specific fans that are RGB, and then you've also got a single 140 millimeters, like nicer drive caddies for 3.5-inch drives. It just pops out, and then this just comes out just like that. And then you've got a lot more room down here for cable management. Oh yeah, it fits no problem. It's GPU time. Everybody say GPU time. Asus ROG Championship ring. Look at that stupid ring. It's so funny. But here it is right here, that white Asus ROG Strix. One of the prettiest cards, honestly, of this generation. There we go. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you go to our Discord, all the dad jokes. Today I saw a dwarf climbing down a prison wall. I thought, well, that's a little condescending. Oh my gosh, that one is hilarious. Did you hear that oxygen and magnesium hooked up last night? OMG. And then the build is complete. There it is. Time to get this PC on. Oh, I hear. was a pretty painless build, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were using an air cooler instead of an AIO for the build. Air cooling always makes things a bit easier, and I know a lot of you are ready to know how this build does thermally because of that super awesome white air cooler we used inside of it. Also, you could be amazed what you can do with a quality air cooler like the Noctua U12, and if you want to know more, check out our ultimate air cooling video right here. So build experience, Robey? Well, I have very little to complain about when building in this case. I mean, the biggest issues on this is just how shallow the area in the back is when you do cable management. So if you're gonna jam like a ton of Corsair parts in a build like this, you may start to have struggles depending on the amount of little RGB controllers you have. Other than that, you got your standard smaller size case issues. Like if you're gonna AIO mount, you're gonna have to verify that your VRM is gonna fit. 240 millimeters is really easy, 280 always gets a little bit dicey. The building experience in this, pretty easy and pretty awesome. So what about thermals, Robey? First up, it's our AMD Ryzen 9 5950X, no slouches of a heat generator by the way, paired with our Thermalright Frost Commander, cool name by the way. Hey, cool name, that's a pun. Anyway, in white. So at idle, keeping its namesake, our Frost Commander and the CK560, we're keeping things frosty at a nice and cool 35 in the open case and an only 1 degree warmer at 36 in the closed case. Now, when we turn up the heat and melt the face off that Frost Commander, actually that sounds really dark. Well, we failed because the Frost Commander kept things completely under control with 71 degrees under load in the open case and 77 in the closed case. These are still very good temperatures for a 5950X, and even more impressive given that this is actually air-cooled. So what about the GPU, Robey? I mean, I see that the GPU is white, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be cooler, even though we call them Arctic builds. Well, you're right, that's a good observation. So our white RTX 3080 Strix, the unicorn of white GPUs, when at idle in our Deep Cool CK560, with those airflow ARGB fans blowing so softly over its white glistening surfaces. Oh, if case reviews were written like romance novels. Anyway, at idle, we saw temps in the low 30s, so 33 to be exact, in the open case scenario, and an only 1 degree jump to 34 in the closed case. Now, when we put it under load, not going to be doing that in a romance novel joke, by the way, we see things jump up to 67 in the open case and a slightly warmer 72 in the closed case scenario. So very good cooling, and both the case and the case fan design seem to be doing a great job of keeping both our CPU and GPU well fed with air, and keeping temps in a really great spot. So my final thoughts are this. The Deep Cool CK560 is definitely an evolution for the Deep Cool cases that keeps the price low while spending the money where it's needed. Things like the GPU sag bracket, the grommets, and the ARGB airflow fans are all the right quality of life upgrades that keep the performance and thermals where they need to be without sacrificing in weird ways. The stylish front panel is nice, but it's causing some sacrifice to thermals, and with future iterations it would be good to see even more airflow allowed to pass through. But it's a small gripe, and with the right cooler, it's not really going to be an issue. It's unfortunate you don't have a lot of room in the back to do cable management, and some of you may really struggle to get the rear of the case closed if you do that old finish and cram method of cable management. The form factor is nice, I think the case is aesthetically pleasing, and the price is very reasonable. So after watching this video, if you like the case, I would say awesome, go for it. Now you might be wondering, Robey, what about all the gameplay info and how does this build do if I wanted to replicate it using all those parts you listed down in the description below? Well, never fear, just fast forward to the end of the video to get all of the stats on that. We're trying to make the more relevant bits of the review shorter for those of you who just want to know if the case is good and move on to the next video quickly, which is hopefully one of ours. So what did you think? Tell us your thoughts and maybe win a little cash in the process. First and foremost, you need to leave a quality comment down below along with liking and subscribing to the channel. Now when I say quality comment, it doesn't need to be positive, it just needs to be something you liked or didn't like about the video, what surprised you, etc. about the case or the video in general. Just not, hey, I deserve to win, or can I have a free PC, or something similarly lame. You also need to ensure we have a way for us to reach out via your YouTube profile, like your email. So put your email in your YouTube profile because we will be giving away $25 to one lucky comment below that is worldwide as long as you can accept PayPal or Venmo. What did you think of the case? Was this a surprise for you? Was the CK560 not on your radar, but now post the video you might be considering it? What do you think of the front panel, and will you be playing in your local honky-tonk band? We would love to know all that down in the comments below. Now while you're down there, make sure you slap that subscribe button with that like button and ring that notification bell so you get a notification each and every time we post a new video right here on Robeytech. Did you know we have a live stream channel for special builds and events? Check out Robeytech Live down in the description below so you can like and subscribe to know when we go live, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know, hey, Robey's on. Do you have questions about this case or any other tech-related questions? Then check out our amazing Discord server filled with other tech and PC enthusiasts that love to share their thoughts and ideas on these very subjects. Are you looking for cheap tech? Then check out @RobeyTechDeals.com or @RobeyTechDeals on Twitter, where we have our guy Tom scouring the internet for the best deals on all things tech, from PC components, games, etc. Finally, you can follow me and my team on all the other socials @Robeytech absolutely everywhere. We hope you enjoyed this video, we hope you like the new format, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.